My name is Jayson Lowe, and I am the current Chief Executive Officer and founder of Ascendant Financial, a company headquartered out of Edmonton, Alberta, serving clients coast to coast. And we specialize in the implementation and coaching on the process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept. And we've been here for our clients for the past 13 years.
Yeah, amazing. And doing some fantastic work.
Thank you.
Before we came together, there was a challenge. There was a thing that you were experiencing and dealing with, maybe not even realizing you were dealing with it until I'm like, hey, have you ever considered, how would you express that? How would you talk about what you were challenged with prior to us starting our work together?
Rapid growth with, so many new people coming into the organization, creating objectives and getting people rallied around, where we were headed as a company. And there were so many moving pieces, so many people to get, I guess, in the right seat, doing the right things. And so it was really trying to find what brought everybody energy and what fascinated them to make sure that they were doing the right things versus, you may have experienced this too at some point in your life where maybe you were performing some job function where some of the things that you were doing were maybe energy draining.
Oh, yeah.
And so we went through a really big exercise as a group to make sure that everybody was doing the things that brought them energy and that enabled them to operate in their unique ability. And we really spent a lot of time on that because that's really, for us, the foundation of what creates the most momentum in our business. And that's what we were dealing with at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I shared the work that it is that I do in taking the deep dive, looking further ahead, documenting it in such a way that has everybody with a clear point of reference to go to in those moments of like, I don't know where I should be or what's going on. Were there any concerns that kind of showed up prior to doing this work, if at all? I don't know. I'm always curious about that.
No, there weren't concerns. There was optimism.
Mm.
And so when you think about when someone outside of your organization is able to see a company that has, a lot of potential, the people within it, and then, you're, meaning you're 12 miles down the road saying, the view from here is awesome. And so we just need to get together and give everybody a pair of binoculars and say, okay, I know that you're working on a lot of great things in the current state of the business, but let's put the binoculars on for a second and let's kind of look ahead and just see how amazing that future is and how everyone can really truly be a part of it and still be able to be the best version of themselves and be able to bring their very best to that vision of the business and not feel like something in the way of a vision was simply created for them and presented to them. Everybody had to take an active role and be a part of creating it. That is something that was so vitally important to me as a leader. I did not want to just write the script and say, here it is. I wanted everybody to have a hand in it. And so it's like, people show up at the right time. And this is another sharp example of people showing up at the right time to help us do that work.
Yeah, and there's definitely a right time to do this work, and it was the right time.
Definitely.
What did you get out of doing the work? And I'm talking about you specifically, and then I would love to hear a little bit about what your team got out of this work. I've heard little things here and there, which was really great and super cool to experience. Like, wow, you got that? That's amazing. But let's start with you first. What did you get out of doing this work?
What I got personally was immense gratitude from seeing what everyone else's version of the dream was. And as you recall, when we were in that first session, I purposefully held back. I purposefully limited my communication, and because I didn't want to be persuasive or influential in the discussion, I really wanted everyone to have a voice. And it was incredibly grateful for me to see that, to see what people's version of that dream, was. And the deep dive session, I didn't even partake in by design. I purposefully wanted to not be involved in that. And the output was, it was amazing. It inspired me beyond where we already were. I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
wow, this could be even bigger than I initially thought. And that's what motivates me.
Yeah, yeah, really great. And what have you heard from others now, having done the big reveal and getting everybody that maybe so there were those that were part of the process of co-creation, and then there are those that are there, truly there for the ride, but aligned for their own reasons. What have you been hearing? What have other people gotten?
Oh boy, I would say most consistent, what I've been hearing is that, well, I'll give you an analogy. You remember what we learned in school when, someone would say, hey, if I whisper something into your ear, and then by the time it gets around the whole classroom, the story is completely different
Yeah,
when it gets
totally.
to the final person, right?
It's ridiculous, actually, at the end.
And so what we have now is we have resource material. We have something to go back to, so that if you're sharing the story, if you're sharing the dream, if you're sharing the vision of the business, it's a recount of what we all built together. It's not that, hey, let me whisper it into your ear, and then by the time it gets to the 50th person, it's a completely different vision. It's a completely
Yeah, yeah,
different,
totally.
company. And so that's what I have been hearing most consistently from our group. And again, that brings me just incredible joy. As a leader, it's very important for me, to give people the latitude that they need to really express themselves, and to feel that they can personally brand as part of where we're headed as an organization, and really genuinely feeling that they can own it, that it's not just a platitude, that they can actually own it. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not lip service. You're
Yeah.
not saying, "Hey, you own part of this," but you really don't. No,
Right.
no, you do.
They can actually reckon with it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, you'll never experience inside of our organization, is that feeling of, conformity in that sense. It's like, look, you were a part of this. You were a part of sculpting this vision of our organization. And so now, if we're all a part of designing what that painted picture vision is going to look like for our business, then we've all got to be a part of bringing it to life and actually making it real. So everybody plays a part in the construction process. Everybody plays a part and grabs the tools and helps, put it together. So,
Hmm.
but we've had a great culture, that was there. It was present. You could feel it. It was just taking the time that we needed to take to actually observe that we were living it, because I didn't want something to be just mapped out in the way of, wordsmithing something and then trying to be that. It was like, look, let's build this, but then let's actually take some time to make sure that we're living it, so
Hmm.
that it's genuine, it's authentic, and it's very comfortable. There's no friction. Have you ever tried to be someone else?
It doesn't work very well.
It doesn't. You can never become the best version of someone else.
No.
And so you've got to give people the opportunity to become the best version of themselves. And so that played a part in what we built and designed.
Yeah, yeah, really great. Well, and when you talk about culture, it cannot be manufactured. It needs to rise. It's soil, right? So whatever you plant is what will rise. You can't expect, and I use this analogy all the time. If you plant an oak seed, you will get an oak tree. You cannot get a maple tree.
Yeah,
An oak tree is an oak tree is an oak tree, right? From roots to branches.
absolutely.
But we tend to have this idea that if we plant one thing, we can actually get it to be something else. And it's not possible. One of the things, I don't know if you heard about it. I was speaking to Jennifer, and she's like, from some of the new hires,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Yeah, to
Share a
say,
little bit about that.
wow, it's so amazing to see because some of the most recent people that we've been onboarding as well getting exposure to this, and they're saying, wow, this gives us just a really, again, a deeper glimpse into what Ascendant is, and the people that form a part of this organization. And because we're rapidly growing, and you can, if you're not careful, you can end up in a situation where teams become teams, plural,
Yeah, totally siloed and
not
segregated.
team.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's something that I have to obviously do everything that I can to to prevent from occurring. And but this is just one element of that big toolbox that we have now to onboard people in a great way. Because when you rapidly grow, if you don't have that rapid growth, rapid onboarding, you miss out. The new people coming aboard just aren't going to really grasp the essence of who you really are as an organization and who you really are as a team. And it just takes longer.
Yeah.
And so with this, it just helps us, compress it, and more importantly, be consistent, like the analogy that I used earlier, so that if Jen is sharing the vision and the story, that it's not a different recount of it than me sharing it with somebody. It's all been captured and archived, so
Yeah, really great.
it's pretty awesome.